welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. Got a pretty interesting show for you here today. Going to talk some NFL, Dak Prescott and Lamar Jackson. Why? Because just the other day, the NFL All-Pro teams were released, and those guys are both on it, and the playoffs are now. And as I record this in about a half an hour here, the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers are going to kick off from Dallas. So definitely wanted to get on and talk about that. But before I do, you know what time it is. If you haven't already, please go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, and that notification bell. Make sure you're kept aware of whenever new content drops on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, you know what to do. Go ahead, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in the Format Podcast. We should come right up. Please give us that like, that 5-star review, and leave us a comment if you're enjoying the show and the content that we're creating here. We're definitely almost there to that magic number of 1,000 subscribers. So really appreciate everybody that's chipping in, clicking that button. Please continue to do it, and please continue to share the pod. You do all this, you know what happens. Helps more sports fans find us, helps us find more sports fans. Let's get right to it. Okay, so as I mentioned, the NFL All-Pro teams were released a couple days ago. And the first team quarterback is Lamar Jackson, who is clearly the best player on the best team in football. He's had a great season. The numbers haven't been out of this world, but what he's been able to do in terms of leading this team to the best record in the league and having a tremendous record against teams over 500. I think they're 7-2, and they put up big points. I think every win over teams with winning records has been by double digits. So Baltimore has really been doing a tremendous job. Lamar Jackson is, playing up to billing. And on the second team is Dak Prescott, led the league in touchdown passes this season. I think he had 36. Let me verify that. Yes, 36 touchdown passes, only 9 interceptions, led the league. Most people are saying that he is playing the best quarterback that we've ever seen him play. And that's probably true. And if you watch this channel, you know I'm not a big Dak Prescott guy. I think he gets a lot of the attention that he gets because he is the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, America's quote unquote team. But that doesn't change the fact that he's having an incredible season. And the point of this is Dak Prescott's had an incredible season. Lamar Jackson has an incredible season. But what time is it now? It's playoff time. This is when it really matters. This is when legacies are made across every sport, when the games are win and go home. And if you don't play well, and if you don't lead your team and you don't do what you're supposed to do as that guy, your team is not going to go home, and you're going to be clearing out your lockers tomorrow. And so I bring this up because, number one, Dak Prescott, he's up for a new deal after this season, and we've heard Jerry Jones say he's going to give it to him. And Dak Prescott may well end up being the highest paid player in the history of the game of football again, which, as you know, in my estimation, he should not have been last time. But regardless, I bring this up more to say Dak Prescott's career playoff record is 2-4. Lamar Jackson's career playoff record is 1-3. Why am I bringing that up? We know that American football is the ultimate team game. Everything has to be working right for you to have success. But if you're that guy, you are the most important position in sports, which is the quarterback. You are making the most money. You are supposed to be elite of the elite, your first and second team all pros. You're those guys. You've been given everything in terms of you've been given the accolades, you've been given the money, you've done what you're supposed to do throughout the regular season. You've been given all the attention, but now when it matters most, now is the time you have to step up. And Lamar Jackson, unfortunately, has not done that thus far in his playoff career. And you look at it and you say, okay, well, the playoffs are a whole different animal, and his numbers pretty much across the board are down in the playoffs. Now, what does that mean, really? Because the teams, you're playing against in the playoffs are consistently better teams than you'll play against in the regular season. There's no losing teams in the playoffs. Well, almost never. It happens now and again, but almost never. So that just goes to say that you're playing against better coaching, you're playing against better opposition. But you look at it, Lamar Jackson is 65% completions for his career in the regular season, touchdown percentage of 5.9%, and interception percentage of 2.1%. In the playoffs, 4 games so far in his career, again, he's 1-3. His completion percentage dips almost 10 percentage points to 56%. He only has a touchdown percentage of 2.2% and an interception percentage of 3.7. So everything gets worse for him in the playoffs. And that's not what you want to do, especially when you're an elite guy, because It's not to say you can't make it to the Hall of Fame, you can't be an MVP or what have you, but at the end of the day, this thing is judged on championships. It's unfortunate, especially in the game of football, because of how team heavy it is, but you've got to get it done, especially when you're getting the money, you're getting the attention, you're getting all that, you're getting the accolades, etc. But Lamar Jackson is an incredible player. And at this point, obviously, with the Ravens getting that bye in the AFC, they get to sit back, wait, and see who they're going to play next week. Now, you flip it to Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is another guy who's been outstanding throughout his career in the regular season. Early on, probably the first 5 years or so, he lived heavily off the running game. It's been the last few years that he's really come into his own in terms of being a passer. And this season, above them all, that he's been a guy that they being the Dallas Cowboys, have been able to hitch their wagons to and put everything on his back, and he's been able to carry it. This season, he had an incredible season. He led the league in completions with 410. He didn't lead it in attempts, but he completed 69.5%. We could round up to 70% of his passes, led the league in touchdowns with 36. He only had 9 interceptions. So an absolutely incredible year for Dak Prescott, especially after leading the league in interceptions last year with 15. So he really has had a great season. And again, y'all know I'm not a Dak guy, but I got to give him his due. He played as well as we've seen him play, and I was impressed. Now, kind of weird thing is, he and the Cowboys didn't particularly play well against the really good teams, nor did they play particularly well against teams away from home. I think the Cowboys have won their last 17 in Dallas. So you got to look at that and maybe wonder what's behind that, what's going on. And Dak, he, much like Lamar, the drop off isn't as pronounced in the playoffs, but it's still there. So 67% completions in the regular season, 64% or 63% in the playoffs. The TD percentage is just about the same, 5.2% in the regular season, 5.1 in the playoffs. And the interception percentage, 2.3 in the regular season, and actually, what do we have here? 2.3 in the playoffs. So it goes up a little bit in the playoffs, but Dak is noticeably worse. And at the end of the day, you're the quarterback of the Cowboys. Again, you're getting the money, and chances are he will be the highest paid guy. He's probably going to get $280, $290 million total in his contract this offseason coming up. Again, I don't know. I wouldn't give that to him unless he takes him on a deep run, maybe wins a Super Bowl. And let me be clear, if Dak Prescott carries the Cowboys and they win the Super Bowl this year, he needs a $300 million deal. He does. And he needs to be getting $60 million a year annually. And he needs to get over 200 mil fully guaranteed. You got to give him that. If he gets that job done, give it to him. I've been clear about that I don't think he deserves it, but I will be the first to come on here and say that I was wrong and say, pay that man if he goes up there and gets it done. And realistically, even if he gets him to the Super Bowl and does like Jalen Hurts last year, plays extremely well, but isn't able to pull off the win, pay that man anyway, because he will have proved that he is worth it. So, I have no problem if I'm wrong getting on this mic in front of y'all and saying I'm wrong. I have no problem in saying if a guy earns it, give him his money. But as you know, I'm not that guy that says just because somebody's up next, they got to get the bread. So for instance, quick digression here, Tua is 6-14 in his career in games under 70 degrees. Not 50, not 40, 70 degrees. So Tua can only play when the weather conditions are warm and pretty much perfect. I mean, it is very interesting. If you're Miami, you're an AFC East team, and your 3 divisional opponents are all up north: New York, Jets, Buffalo, and of course the Patriots. Why you would draft a guy who, number one, is from Hawaii, then played his whole career in the SEC at Alabama? So clearly he's not going to be able to deal with the cold. I don't know why you do that. But anyway, point I'm trying to make is Tua's up for a deal this year. Just because he's up next, are you going to make him get more money than Joe Burrow and give him the next big deal? Of course not. You're not giving this guy $50-$55 million a year. I'd give him $25-$30 million a year. I'd give him a very nice contract, but there's no way that just because he's up next, he's going to get more. Not in my estimation, not in my franchise. If I own the team, not going to be able to do it. Anyway, with that said, back to Dak and Lamar. The main point of this was to say that these guys are, at least for this season, the elite of the elite at the position. First and second team all pro. And that means you got to get it done. Lamar Jackson, you got to get it done. Dak Prescott, you've got to get it done. Let's see what you got. Go out there, earn your money. Well, Dak hasn't been paid yet. Lamar has. But Lamar, go ahead, earn your money. And Dak, if you want the big deal, go ahead and show him why you're worth it. So what I want to know from you is, do you think that these are make or break years for Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott? How important is it for these guys to make a deep playoff run this season? Do you think Dak should be the highest paid player in the history of the game? And what would it take for him to get that? Go ahead, leave your comments in the comment section. Can't wait to hear from you. Can't wait to get back to you. And I'll be back with you on the next episode. And I'm out. Peace.